in ungazetted and gazetted detention facilities countrywide relative to the context that has been described above. Finally, this discussion is being held at a time when neighboring countries are wallowing in the throes of creeping militarism, alongside an ongoing spate of reversals in the democratic culture worldwide. To that extent, we Ugandans are in solidarity with fellow East Africans and all people facing tyrannical regimes world over. That's the end of the context. So we now have the honor of sharing with you what the program will look like. We have an opening session where we will hear from leaders of the party, affected families, victims or survivors of torture. Thereafter, we will hear from the head of the leadership of the party, including President Chagulanyi Sentamu, David Laws Rubongoya, and lawyers like Benjamin Katana, who will brief us on the situation. We will open the floor for participation from the audience, and the audience will be limited to 1 minute in terms of contribution, so please keep your contribution short. The second half and final part of the program will get back to the panel that we've assembled, and then we will conclude the conversation. At this point, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Dr. Judith Nalukwago, who will pose the first question and the second question, and we will carry on the conversation from there. Judith, over to you. Judith, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great. Over to you, Judith.
Hello, is
Yeah, Judith, all you have to do is unmute yourself and speak. We will hear you. I will confirm when we hear you here.
I have.
Judith, you are muted. If you are speaking, you are muted.
Trying to unmute, but then every it mute.
Okay. While my colleague Judith resolves that glitch, I will take the liberty to pose the question. Okay, I will take the liberty to pose the question, and then we'll get my colleague Judith back as soon as she sorts out that issue. Production, people in the background, please help us sort out the glitch with Judith. The question, and this is to the leadership of the party, and we will have other responses from other participants in terms of those who have been affected by torture, directly affected by torture, detention, abduction, or disappearances, is, from your perspective, what is the state of human rights in the country at the moment? From your perspective, what is the state of human rights in the country at the moment? If the president is here, or David Lewis Rubongoya, or Benjamin Katana, please take on the question. Yes, Mr. Rubongoya, I see you. Please go ahead. Yes, Mr. President, I can hear you loud and clear. Sure, go ahead. Much appreciated, Mr. President. The next question related to the background that you've ably laid out goes to David Lewis. David, are you able to speak? Much appreciated.
Yes, I can hear you and I'm able to speak, please.
Great. Please give us a picture of the current state of play in terms of the number of people abducted, the number of people detained, the torture victims that disappeared, and the dead. That's the update we are requesting from you. David, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew, and we appreciate everybody who has joined this space. Solidarity with Comrade Eddy Mutwe and other political prisoners. You know, between 2019 and 2021, the people who are documented are 2,134 persons who were abducted by the military regime. Many of these people were later released. Some, of course, as you know, were never traced up to today, to an extent that we still have 18 missing persons. These 18 missing persons have been missing, and we have the wife of one of them, Damlila John, on the space tonight. But the rest of these people largely
David,
were picked up off the streets, you know, taken in detention, in ungazetted places of detention. Many of them ended up before the unit disciplinary committees of UPDF, others before the division's court-martial, others before the general court-martial. Like I said, we still have 18 missing persons. But even after the election, we have recorded a total of 143 people who have so far been abducted. But these are people who we get to know about. You know, every time a person comes back from either CMI or wherever they hold them, they will tell you that they found so many other people there who we never get to know about. You know, Bright Mhumza the other day told us that he was taken to a room where there were more than 500 people. And he said majority of these are Muslims. You can't know where they're coming from. You talk to some of them, they say they've been in detention for, you know, 9 years, for 10 years, and that kind of thing. Now, Those recently abducted, of course, we have Eddy Mutwe, we have Shakul Sentongo, Chagulanyi Najib, Sebude Kasim Palanyi Michael, who is also known as Infantry. So these 6 are still missing as we speak today. The number of those arrested since 2021, the ones our human rights desk has recorded, is 272. And we must draw a distinction between abductions and arrests. Abductions, we look at them to mean these, these ones which are done out completely outside the law, where people are, first of all, picked up, taken to places not gazetted by law, kept there longer than 48 hours. So those are the categories we look at as abductions. But those, the 272 I'm talking about, are those who have been taken through due process, arrested, taken through courts of law, charged, etc., etc., maybe get out on bail, etc. As we speak, we still have over 100 people in detention, in different detention centers, and we always don't give a specific number because almost on a daily basis, you have new numbers being arrested and other people being released. So it always, the number is always changing, but as we know right now, we have slightly over 100 people who are in detention, including people at Chitalia, those who are at Luzira Upper Prison, Makshon Bay, and other prisons like Chitala, a prison in Impiji, and other places. The other day, our comrade was arrested in Chisoro, another one in Ruchiga, another one in Bushenyi, you remember Mbabazi Pase, and all that. So these are the kinds of cases I'm talking about. Now, I also wanted to mention that we still have close to 300 children who need help because either their parents are in prison, maybe their parents are missing, maybe their parents were killed, and of course those who have been tortured and damaged in one way or the other. So that is the situation I can give you. Like I said, and I want to appreciate our legal team. You can see that from the election, those who were able to document were over 2,000 people, and the legal team has been working very hard to secure bail, in some cases secure bond. Of course, some are always just dumped somewhere in the swamp after 3 weeks. Right now, what the regime normally does is not even to give these people any form. When they abduct them and take them to CMI, subject them to torture and all that, when the time comes and they feel like releasing them, they just say, you go, without giving them any single document. And that started after the Masereka situation. You remember Masereka was our registrar in Kasese, and he was very, very badly tortured. And then they gave him a bond form, and the charge was subversive activities, which is even non-existent. And of course, we went to court. The case took so long, but eventually the court decided that case in favor of Masereka, of the victim. Of course, the court awarded very little money, 30 million shillings as compensation, but at least there was a declaration of the High Court clearly saying that he had been under the custody of CMI and they're the ones who tortured him. So from that time, they stopped giving any document for any victim to prove that this person is in their custody. And so that has been the situation with very, very many of our comrades who are picked from around the country, from Yumbe, from Arua, from Fort Porto, and other parts of the country. So, Andrew, that's the picture I can paint for you.
Okay, much appreciated. We will soon hear from lawyers like Benjamin Katana, who've done a splendid job insofar as the legal response is concerned. However, I have received a lot of feedback from the audience that they were not able to hear what Honorable Chagulanyi was saying. So, Mr. Chagulanyi, I'm going to request you to unmute, and unfortunately, you have to restate your first answer to the question that we posed. Yes. Okay. And sure. And I'll just check to see who can hear the president right now. If you heard what Honorable Chagulanyi said in the last few seconds, please give us a thumbs up. Okay, it appears there's a challenge. Uh, yeah, I can hear you myself.
I can also
but,
hear.
Yeah, but the audience cannot.
And I can hear him as well. So I believe maybe many people are hearing him right now.
And I'm actually
Maybe you can mute a random person and find out if they can hear.
on my screen right now. There's a lot of thumbs down. People saying we can't hear him. Okay, let's do a mic check. Honorable Chagulanyi. If you can hear Honorable Chagulanyi, please give us a thumbs up. No, they can't.
I don't know why the corruption is too much. Why the price to electricity is too high. Why the price of education is too high. And you see the tribalism is too much. I don't know why the corruption is too much.
Hello, everyone.
Why the price to electricity.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. For those joining us from other time zones, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. If you can hear me clearly, please give me a thumbs up.
When freedom of expression becomes a target of suppression, opposition becomes our position.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues in production. We apologize for the requesting production to pause the music for now so that we can get the conversation underway. Great. General Felix Kulaije have similarly been vocal in the endorsement of the. Now to the case of Mr. Edward Sebufu, also known as Eddy Mutwe. Abducted late last month, in April, by a contingent of armed operatives, Edward Sebufu, who leads the NUP National Unity Platform President Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's security detail, adds to the dozens of Ugandans currently detained without trial, many of whom have been locked up for years on end. The focus of this discussion spans both the detention of Sebufu, his bodyguards, his core bodyguards, and the numerous political detainees currently languishing in ungazetted and gazetted detention facilities countrywide relative to the context that has been described above. Finally, this discussion is being held at a time when neighboring countries are wallowing in the throes of creeping militarism, alongside an ongoing spate of reversals in the democratic culture worldwide. To that extent, we Ugandans are in solidarity with fellow East Africans and all people facing tyrannical regimes world over. That's the end of the context. So we now have the honor of sharing with you what the program will look like. We have an opening session where we will hear from leaders of the party, affected families, victims or survivors of torture. Thereafter, we will hear from the head of the leadership of the party, including President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, David Lewis Rubongoya, and lawyers like Benjamin Katana, who will brief us on the situation. We will open the floor for participation from the audience, and the audience will be limited to 1 minute in terms of contribution, so please keep your contribution short. The second half and final part of the program will get back to the panel that we've assembled, and then we will conclude the conversation.
So we have decided to host the space on my handle, since I'm not in the country, and then we will have bobiwine and others join us here, and we can continue with the conversation. So please just stay here a few minutes. Thank you for joining, and then we'll have this discussion underway. There's attempts to frustrate the connection, colleagues. For those who are just joining us, we are holding an alternative through my connection. So please bear with us as we restart the conversation. Apologies for that, but the space, I repeat, is being frustrated through the use of signal jammers by vehicles parked outside Honorable Kyagulanyi's home. That's the situation we're faced with at the moment. So as soon as all our colleagues are here, we will commence the conversation.
Respect yourself, respect your statements, respect everyone. Kuba woyambula Eddy, n'omuteeka mu kifaananyi ali bwereere omusazeeko ebirevu really kati amusazeeko ebirevu now so what muhozi general like they call you because you are. Respect yourself, respect your statements, respect everyone. Kuba woyambula Eddy n'omuteeka mu kifaananyi ali bwereere omusazeeko ebirevu really kati amusazeeko ebirevu now so what muhozi general like they call you because you are. Respect yourself, respect your statements, respect everyone. Kuba woyambula Eddy n'omuteeka mu kifaananyi ali bwereere omusazeeko ebirevu really kati amusazeeko ebirevu now so what muhozi general like they call you because you are. Respect yourself, respect your statements, respect everyone. Kuba woyambula Eddy n'omuteeka mu kifaananyi ali bwereere omusazeeko ebirevu really kati amusazeeko ebirevu now so what muhozi general like they call you because you are. Respect yourself, respect your statements, respect everyone. Kuba woyambula Eddy n'omuteeka mu kifaananyi ali bwereere omusazeeko ebirevu really kati amusazeeko ebirevu now so what muhozi general like they call you because you are. Respect yourself, respect your statements, respect everyone. Kuba woyambula Eddy n'omuteeka mu kifaananyi ali bwereere omusazeeko ebirevu really kati amusazeeko ebirevu now so what
could be anyone at all, and you don't even have to do anything for them to pick you up. It's like they're now making it their life's mission okutujoga. So they abduct an individual and then come out and tell us that yes, we did in fact abduct this person. They proceed to give us visual proof of this person's state, clearly showing that they have been tortured, brutalized, and are being held against their will. They don't stop there, but then proceed to brag about torturing this person. Then they also ask, do you want a video proof? You see, and the scariest part is that this could be anyone. Anyone at all, and you don't even have to do anything for them to pick you up. It's like they're now making it their life's mission okutujoga.
Alexa.
So they abduct an individual.
Calling Jubby Duke's Alexa devices from Jubby.
Listen.
Babe.
N'obuuza Yoweri Museveni ky'ekyakutwala mu nsiko okutta abantu kyali kiki? talina nsajjako.
Uganda ejjuddemu abeewulira ebyanyi bawamba abantu ate ne bakyewaaniramu. Omuganda n'agamba nti atatya musajja munne tawangaala nti amiina.
N'obuuza Yoweri Museveni nti ekyakutwala mu nsiko okutta abantu kyali kiki? Talina nsajjako.
Uganda ejjuddemu abeewulira ebyanyi bawamba abantu ate ne bakyewaaniramu. Omuganda n'agamba nti atatya musajja munne tawangaala gwakitegedde gamba nti amiina.
N'obuuza Yoweri Museveni nti ekyakutwala mu nsiko okutta abantu kyali kiki?
The criminals, of course, are targeting all these places we're starting, but I believe we should be able to continue on this.
Do we know the Karamaji's?
Karamaji is up there. Just turn him into a speaker.
Okay.
Karamaji and Judith Nalukwago.
Very well. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Karamaji, I see you're a speaker. Could you please take it on from there?
Can you hear me now? I am speaking David Lewis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very well.
I can hear you too.
So we've lost.
I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, the shameless people have had us lose about 49 minutes out of the 90 that we had prepared to speak for. But we will nonetheless proceed in the spirit of citizen power or people power and make sure that this conversation is held, come hell or high waters. We will proceed with this conversation. I'd like to appreciate the resilience of our production team and you in the audience who have insisted to listen and join each space that we've held despite the disruptions. So instead of reverting to the conversation that we had earlier, I will give a summary in 1 minute. I will endeavor to be under 1 minute of what has been discussed in the previous attempts. And then we will get the rest of the questions that are pending posed and open the floor for the audience to join. As I said earlier, each speaker, each participant will have just 1 minute to share their thoughts, and then we'll get back to the panel. So we started off by asking what the human rights situation in the country is at the moment, and we got an update about the ongoing spate of abductions, the assaults, the disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. None of this is breaking news. It is always in our faces on social, mainstream, and print media. We very well know about this. And that answer was given by Honorable Chagulanyi. We then heard a response from David Lewis Rubongoya regarding the numbers in terms of the abductees, the detainees, torture victims, the disappeared, and the dead. Cumulatively, those numbers amounted to over 2,000 people, with the timeline starting or stretching as far back as 2020. We have a number of people who have been detained both in gazetted and ungazetted locations without trial. We also have a legal team that has been handling these issues. And as I now invite one of the lead lawyers in this matter, Benjamin Katana, to give us a brief on what has been happening on the legal front, I request that he be made a speaker. We will also thereafter hear from family members, affected family members, as well as individuals who have borne the brunt of being held in torture chambers without trial, but fortunately have been released, albeit with grave injuries to themselves. So may we have Benjamin Katana address us on the issue pertaining to the legal front, what has gone on there. And after we hear from the affected family members or individuals, we will open the space to the public. Over to you.
If you will permit,
yes.
If I may ask, if I may request.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for permitting my interjection. Just before the criminals interrupted our network, you had asked me to reiterate my answer since many people did not get to hear me. So with, with your permission, I could use just a minute or two.
Perfectly. Please use 3.
Thank you very much. Well, just to reassert it that we are without a doubt in a reign of terror. Leave alone what has been happening under closed doors and in concealment, where so many people have been abducted, killed. But this, at least, the regime has had the decency to conceal it, and you can give it to General Museveni. But what we have is a fully blown out reign of terror, where General Museveni's son has absolute unchecked powers to abduct, torture, and kill people. This happened to the likes of Kakwenza and others. It happened to so many people that were personally tortured by Mohozi, but there was no, acceptance by himself that he's the one who did it. But we are in a time where he tortures our people and brags. Case in point is the ongoing torture of Eddy Mutwe, who was abducted. We used to hear that Idi Amin and Obote regimes were gross human rights abusers, but this we are seeing in real time. As we speak right now, our brother could be undergoing torture if he's still alive. This is a situation that calls for the attention and action of every Ugandan. And I must conclude by saying that we are not approaching this matter as the National Unity Platform alone, but as human beings, as Ugandans, because every Ugandan is at risk of this. I thought I should make it very clear. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Very well said, Honorable Chagulanyi. Thank you for that update. I wonder whether Lewis might have anything to add in that respect to the articulate brief that the president has made before we hear from Benjamin Katana. I request the production team once again to make Benjamin Katana a speaker so that we can hear from what has been going on the legal front.
Yeah, Comrade Karamaji, I'm failing to identify Comrade Katana. If you could request, that would be really good. Thank you.
Okay, Benjamin, if you can hear, please push the request button and my colleague in production will help put you up. Is my co-host, Dr. Judith Nalukwago, here? If she is,
yes, I am here.
Great, good to have you. So, okay. Benjamin has requested, please allow him. Okay, go ahead, Benjamin. What has happened on the legal front? Have we exhausted all options? What's the state of play? Over to you, Mr. Katana.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much, everyone who has joined this space, the solidarity space, with our brother Eddy Mutwe, who is in illegal detention and probably undergoing a lot of torture, just like the pictures we have seen suggest. The starting point is that we are dealing with a government that has descended into a criminal enterprise, and therefore rule of law is a far cry. We have had court orders ignored. The other day, the Human Rights Commission issued a release order in respect to our detained brother Eddy Mutwe, but to date it has been ignored. by the army, and particularly the Chief of Defense Forces, who has confessed as having him in his basement. Similarly, we have had so many court orders, habeas corpus orders, unconditional release orders ignored. Our approach has been that the only solution to oppression is resistance. And while I have been asked to speak as a lawyer, I would want to emphasize generally that this is not in respect to lawyers, but to everyone that is involved in this fight for the restoration of rule of law in our country. That 50 years ago, at the height of the operations of State Research Bureau and other agencies, Ugandans sat in different rooms to discuss how to resist and overcome a brutal and killer regime that the regime of the day had become. Today we are meeting here, and probably we should meet in several other places to make sure that we all put in effort to make sure that we bring an end to this brutal rule. So our approach has been to use the spaces available in courts of law and other agencies. In the case of Eddy Mutwe, we have filed a writ of habeas corpus. We are yet to get the order from court, just like we have filed for several other people. The Secretary General talked about the case of Masereka, but they talked about the case of the missing persons, talked about the various people who were abducted during the 2021 presidential elections, and several other Ugandans that have been illegally arrested, abducted, and detained since around 2019. Our approach has been to make sure that for every person whose information comes to our attention, we file applications in court for habeas corpus, for unconditional release, and things of that nature. Many times we have had cases drag on. Many times we have had cases not being fixed. Many times we have had court orders given and ignored, especially by the security forces, which is not strange considering the criminal enterprise that we are dealing with that the NRM government has become. My call to the people on this space is that we must organize. Those who are able to go to court like we are doing should go to court. Those who are able to organize in their different places of operation must organize, that we build pressure, disempower the regime, so that it can give in to the demands of the people of Uganda. The courts of law we are doing, there are even efforts at international level. You remember the complaint we filed with the ICC and several others. So yes, the legal approaches, the approaches that are aimed at getting legal solutions are being undertaken, but these must be supplemented by political activism that will build the necessary pressure on the regime to even let the institutions like courts and Uganda Human Rights Commission and others that we have mentioned to be able to exercise their mandate under the Constitution to give orders, but even when these orders have been given, to give them life, because it's one thing to have orders from courts of law, it's another for these orders to be meaningful. What does it help if a person being detained, even when an order is issued, this person, the order is ignored, the person remains in detention, the family has no idea where this person is, and then you have a court order. It more or less becomes useless. So we must be able to build sufficient pressure from wherever we are standing so that the regime can let these institutions be independent, exercise their mandate. When they issue orders, let these orders be respected so that the rights of the citizens of Uganda can be respected regardless of where they stand politically.
Great. We appreciate you, Benjamin, for that elaborate update. And I thank you also I take note of you saying that this is beyond just a legal question. It is political. It requires the participation of citizens, even beyond what the laws and court processes come with. At this point, would like to put a human face to this discussion that we're having, and I will request in the following order, Shifra, who is with Eddy Mutwe's mother, to give her the mic so that she can share with us about the ordeal that the family is going through. We will then hear from Kavuma Jamshid, who is a previous victim of torture, who underwent a very grisly ordeal that was subjected to him. And then we'll hear from Judith, who's the wife to Damulira, who has been missing since 2020. We will also hear from Ajmal,